Hey everybody, welcome to the Grateful Entrepreneur, an online summit all about growing your business with gratitude. During the summit, I'm going to be interviewing entrepreneurs and leaders about the power of gratitude, appreciation, giving back, and customer experience to help grow your business. I've got a special guest today, Yanik Silver. Now, Yanik is the author of Evolved Enterprise. He's a founder of Maverick 1000, a private invitation-only global network of top entrepreneurs and industry leaders. Their members meet periodically throughout the year to connect in bold new ways, to challenge and collectively support each other's biggest business goals and personal growth, engage in exclusive experiences, and co-create a significant worldwide multiplier impact, to date raising over $3 million. Yanik, thank you so much for being here.
Scott, absolutely.
And you know, Yanik, you're, we'll talk a little bit about Evolved Enterprise, but just wanted to give you some acknowledgement and some thanks, because I read that book in the over Christmas in 2015, and it really led me to create, I wouldn't be doing this interview, let's put it that way, if it wasn't for that book. It led me to create a business called Say It With Gratitude, where I wanted to create an impact tied into gratitude and giving back. And
that's awesome.
Reading through the book and the examples that you gave of what an evolved enterprise was and how we could create our own evolved enterprise really changed the direction of my entrepreneurial career. I know I messaged you that on Twitter, but I wanted to say that here as well. So that's how this interview came about. And I just wanted to thank you for putting that book out there. It's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Scott. It's always great to hear that. It's great to hear when people actually apply those ideas and then start seeing those changes. That's great.
Yeah, and when somebody asks what's like the book that's impacted you the most, I always go back to your book and then Start Something That Matters by Blake Mycoskie, which I read a few years ago, and that got my wheels spinning too. Like, oh, how could I do what he's doing? And now Tom Shoes has an evolved enterprise. But for those of us watching this video that aren't familiar with you or what an evolved enterprise is, tell a little bit about your background and how you got into that direction of making.
Yeah, absolutely. So the quick story is essentially back in 2000, kind of one of the early adopters, I guess, of the online world. Started a website called Instant Sales Letters that took off, did really well. And then that turned into me teaching other people how to take their content expertise and sell that online. And fast forward a couple of years later, things are going really well doing that. But I kind of just looked at my life and I'm like, am I really happy? And that question just, it made me stop and be like, well, I'm not totally happy. I feel like there's something more here. And it led me to create this Maverick group. And the Maverick group is all about entrepreneurs. How do we grow ourselves, grow our business, make a difference in the world, and have some fun in the process? And it's evolved quite a bit. Originally, it's just like adventure travel for entrepreneurs. And I was just incredibly passionate about it, but it wasn't the right business model, and it just, my wife's like, so what are you doing? We're about $400,000 in for this project, and she's like, what the heck is going on? I'm like, yeah, I don't know, because my passion had really waned on the internet marketing, digital marketing front, but along that way, like there was something bigger there, and it really forced me to see what is my bigger why, and the bigger why was not to create an adventure travel company. It was something more. Right now, our mission's changing the way business is played. And if I didn't have these sort of sideways things going on, then I really wouldn't have stood back again and be like, okay, what's the real point here? And through that process, I was able to meet some incredible just co-conspirators and people that I really look up to and now become friends in many ways and colleagues. And, you mentioned Blake from Tom Shoes. He's one of them who they were doing business differently, and they all had different bits of the puzzle essentially. And that was the way that I kind of pulled together what Evolved Enterprise was. And when I got that together, our business increased about 824%. So it's a total turnaround in Maverick from applying these ideas.
So yeah, that's awesome. And I love the question that you asked yourself, am I truly happy? And I think that's a big one, and that
Yeah.
we often don't ask ourselves that. We're really going through a job that we don't really like, or a business that doesn't satisfy us, where it may have satisfied us at the beginning and inspired us, but we grow personally, and it takes our kind of our goals and our motivation in different directions. I had the same thing. I come from the fitness industry. After a while, I just started thinking to myself, like, there's only so much of telling people, the nutritious foods that they should be eating and the exercises that they should be doing to lose weight that doesn't really fulfill me anymore, where initially it did. And it's led me to, I've actually run my own adventure trips and now doing the Say It With Gratitude brand. You talk in Evolved Enterprise in your book about 11 impact models. Can you talk about a few of them and give some examples of them besides?
Yeah, for sure. And so, for me, maybe I should just even back up 1 second, but an Evolved Enterprise to me is a company that has a greater impact, has a greater meaning and purpose to what they do. And it starts with you as the entrepreneur or founder. It starts with us discovering what were we almost designed for, really? Like what can we uniquely put out into the world? And then the outer ring is the cause. So when I was going back and thinking about my why, it wasn't to create that adventure travel company. The why was changing the way business is played. And so for us, it's all about how to use business as leverage to make a difference in the world. And then the outer rings are the creation, the product or service, how that's baked into that cause. And then the community, which are the, is that me? Oh, sorry. Was that on my end?
I don't know.
Let me just turn off some windows here. That was weird. So and then the other outer part of the rings are the community. So the customers who are just so excited to buy from you that they become advocates, and then the culture. So how do you create a world-class culture and have a big vision and the core values that you instill. So you mentioned the 11 impact models. People get really excited when they see the different models, right? Because then they can start envisioning how could they apply this in their world. And I think this really works for entrepreneurs. If you have an existing company, that you can continue to rework it to have a greater mission, to have a greater purpose to what you're doing. Or if you just are really excited about a particular cause and something that you want to change in the world, you can create a business wrapped around that. So there's almost like two ways of going at this. And so you mentioned Tom's. That's probably the most popular model, I think, out there that most people know about. This is the buy one, give one model. So you buy a pair of shoes, and for them, they give a pair of shoes away to kids in need somewhere else in the world. And using that model, they've grown immensely. I mean, last time I talked to Blake, they had given away 35 million pairs of shoes.
Wow.
So, just massive. And if you ask him, he said, I never would have expected it to grow that big. And a lot of other companies have taken this on, and it's interesting. So you can take it on. Let's say you found the cause and something you really care about. There's a sock company called Bombas, Bombaus. They've grown incredibly fast. They started with the cause. So they saw what was going on. I think the two partners saw a television program or something came up and said that socks are the most requested item in homeless shelters. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Maybe we could do something about that. And instead of just giving away some socks, why don't we create a sock company? And, same thing, Tom's model, buy one, give one, buy a pair of shoes or socks, give away a pair of socks to a homeless shelter. And they thought it would take them 10 years to get to 1 million pairs of socks. It took them 2.5 years because of the principles of Evolved Enterprise. Like, it just accelerated their growth so quickly. So that's one of the more popular models. And then I always like trotting out some ones that are like, way less known, and because it gets people's kind of gears turning. And I don't know, how many do you want me to cover?
Hey, let's hear about 2 or 3 more.
Okay. All right. So one that I really like is a company called Elvis and Kress. And they were a pair of designers. They were walking down the street and saw this fire hose that was sitting there outside of a fire station that was about to go into a landfill, essentially. And they're like, wow, that's, incredible. That, A, it's incredible material. B, it's terrible that this is going to go into a landfill. They're like, we can turn this into something. So now they've taken old fire hose, turned it into belts, iPad accessories, phone accessories, covers, keychain holders, dop kits, so all sorts of stuff. And the cool thing about it, so I call this model source matters, because it starts with the source, and then what happens to it really affects the end product and really helps it. So then they take that fire hose, turn it into something cool, and then 50% of their profits are off for firemen charities. So, and a nice full circle kind of thing. So I really like when there's an elegant tie-in and something that really makes sense like that. There's a company called Listen, LSTN. They have headphones and I don't know, wireless speakers, like Bluetooth speakers. And so they're involved, like they have really nice woods with them, like a zebra wood and all these, really just beautiful pieces. And so they're involved in producing something that has beautiful sound. And so they've collaborated with a nonprofit called Starkey, the Starkey Foundation. They're one of the biggest, Starkey, the company itself is one of the biggest hearing aid companies out there, but their nonprofit arm is one of the biggest missions out there of serving people to give them free hearing aids. And I've been on 2 Starkey missions, and it's amazing actually when you see somebody like literally who hasn't heard in years and years, and you're able to fit them with the hearing aid, and like their eyes pop open. It's just a really magical, moving experience. So with every Bluetooth speaker sold or headphone, they provide funds for Starkey. So that's a really nice tie-in, right? It's not one for one, but it's a really beautiful way of having a direct impact. So that's one of the other models, is having a direct impact tied to the product that you're selling or service. I'll give you one more to really get people's minds blown, I think, a little bit. I call it empowered employment, model number, I think it's number 9. And it's the idea of how do we take perhaps a group that has a disadvantage and turn it into an advantage for our business. And the one I'm thinking of is a company called Ultra Testing. They do some quality control testing, cross-browser platform kind of testing, different, so you're comparing what something looks like in different browsers, and they hire people on the autism spectrum scale because they're looking for people with more that are okay with repetitive tasks and are good with attention to detail and so forth. So it really makes sense then to hire people on the autism spectrum scale, and it turns it into an advantage. So it's, those are just some ways of thinking about it and really incorporating those pieces into what you're doing.
Yeah, I love that. And 2 things that that I've noticed that you kind of have to be careful with. I know some businesses may give back in order to have their business look good, and they don't come from that place of sincerity. So I think that's important, that you are sincere about what you're doing. And then it's got to be something that inspires you, right? So for me, there's been times in the past where I've just made I've taken a profits of something I've sold and made a donation to a charity, but I didn't really know where that money went specifically. It wasn't like I knew it was like for a pair of shoes, or it wasn't to build a specific school. And I didn't really know where the money went. And that, to me, that wasn't inspiring enough to keep my juices flowing, where I wanted to make that, the ultimate part of my giving back through my business. And I had to turn and go to a different route. Do you find some businesses, maybe they start giving to a charity and they don't find that it really aligns with their values?
Well, it really won't if it's done in a way that, so I talk about how do you move from a transactional company to a transformational company to even transcending what our business could be and what the industry and marketplace is. And at that lowest level, it is transactional. I mean, there's very little, at the transactional company, then there's only a commodity-based kind of exchange, and that's really almost like what you're talking about as well. It's just like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna write a check. I might feel good, but I don't really know. I'm not involved. My team might not even be involved. Mm-hmm. So the more we can really make this a key element into what we do, it serves everybody. It accelerates your business. It gets your team aligned in something greater. It gets your customers to want to buy more. It lets you hire people that are really excited about the greater mission. So there's ways of incorporating it. And what you said about it has to be genuine. It has to be sincere. Kentucky Fried Chicken got into a lot of trouble a couple of years back when they tried to do these pink buckets of chicken where 50 cents went to breast cancer research. And so, I never saw the tie-in. I didn't get it. And my friend's like, oh, they sell breast of chicken. This is for breast cancer. I'm like, got it. But it made very little sense. And you can tell it was just more of just a corporate kind of, we're gonna do this, so it makes us look good. I think it's a nice tie-in, and then it wasn't a fit. I mean, research coming out around diet's high in saturated fat, as you know, from the fitness space, or linked to cancer. So it's like it doesn't make sense, and so it's gotta be authentic, and it's gotta be a really nice, ideally elegant tie-in in some way. And one resource I can give people is there's a site called B1G1. I think it's .com or .org. I can't remember. I'm
actually interviewing them for this summit as well. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I really like what they've been able to do, and then you get a very specific kind of give with what you're doing. So that's one more resource that people can look at.
Yeah, that's nice because they have a lot of causes to choose from, and if you sell a coaching package, you can donate 100. 100 children can get clean water for a year, or however you want to set that up.
Yeah, and you can even look at it as are there other ways of really tying it in? So if it is a coaching package, there's educational kind of nonprofits that could be a part of it. It all depends. I mean, it really, like, to me, I get excited. I can't remember who I was talking to. I've told this to a couple people, but one woman yesterday, I was speaking yesterday, and she does leadership training in corporations. And she's like, I got really inspired by what you're talking about. I'd like to do something more. I'm like, well, great. You can. She's like, well, we could just make a donation and have like kids have a scholarship to it. I'm like, yeah, that could be one thing. But imagine if there's like a big brother, big sister program in the corporation. So when you do the leadership training, that the kids at some point are part of it as well. Maybe they're inner city kids, maybe whatever they are. And like, to me, I love this closed cycle of learning, doing, and then teaching. And then how it continues around like that, right? So by them learning and then applying it in their inner city kid, like that's exciting, and then that makes them even learn the process better, and there's a much deeper tie-in now.
Yeah, Yanik, I know one of my most profound moments was taking a trip to Guatemala and helping to build schools in poor communities there. I know you've taken many impact trips to Haiti. In the past couple of years, share a moment maybe on one of these impact trips where you felt profound gratitude for this privilege to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's a great question, Scott. I mean, every time there, I come back a different person. I mean, we've gone for the last 7 years building sustainable villages there, where we bring entrepreneurs to help. They essentially pay to be part of the trip, and part of the experiences is they paid for one house as part of this village, and then we get the local community to build it, because we want to provide labor there, and then make it self-sustainable so that they have some sort of economic engine attached to it. It could be agricultural, or it could be one was on the water. We did a fishing co-op for them. So whatever makes sense. But when you mentioned that question to me, the moment I thought of was I've had the chance now to spend the night, I think twice or three times in the villages when they've been built, and so walking around to the different houses at night, we gave them some solar lights one time. And so we just went around to every single house, gave them the solar lights, kind of explained how it worked. And I was with one of the main guys from the charity that we're partnered with. And he said, thank you so much. Thank you. Couldn't do this without you. And I'm like, no, that's not true. Yeah, we can. But we also need you to do your part here. And I'm so grateful for you to be on the ground, to be the one that is actually, I kind of explained it to him like this, like it was like two hands just joining together. Like, if we're out there just whatever we're doing, like, it doesn't make any sense unless there's a second hand there that's clasped with us. And that was one of the profound moments that I felt a tremendous amount of gratitude there.
Do you still go to Haiti every year?
We don't have a trip signed up or scheduled right now. So, but we're looking at when we're going to do the next one.
Cool. I want to switch gears a little bit for the last couple of minutes and talk about handwritten thank you cards, because I know you've written blog posts about it. And then you helped found 10cardsforhope.com, which was really the inspiration for me getting Say It With Gratitude going and having kids draw the artwork for the cards, which is great. What type of impact can thank you cards make on a business?
Well, I mean, just ask yourself as a customer of businesses, when's the last time you got a handwritten note from somebody? It's pretty rare.
Rare.
And you're lucky if you get an autoresponder thank you email, right? So if you get something that really stands out, you're already head and shoulders above your competition. You make an impact in the person's mind. It's got to be done well, though. Like I've gotten a few, like, I don't know, shopping at Nordstrom's or something. Every once in a while, that the sales rep might send me a note back, and I'm like, yeah, that's nice, but it was like, a line or something. And not that I was expecting this big, like, 8-paragraph thing, like, thank you so much for buying your shirt here at Nordstrom's. But it, it just didn't have the same impact as when, actually, one of my buddies just the other day sent me these amazing, like, gummy bears that have like 3 grams of sugar in each bag of gummy bears. His family loves them. He's just like, a huge advocate. And he sent like a handwritten note with it about the gummy bears, why he fell in love with them, why he thought I'd love them, and so forth. It just makes a big difference. And I've literally had people tell me that they've kept my handwritten notes to them on their desk, on their bookshelf somewhere, like that. It means something to them. There's a tremendous amount of meaning to it. And it feels, anytime you express gratitude yourself, like it's just scientifically proven that we're happier. There's, the chemicals in our bodies just start working for us to make us happier. So every time we express gratitude, it's really powerful. And I think expressing gratitude also connects us to the source of our, of what's going well in our life. Like, it's so easy to get wrapped up in things not going well that you are on this almost like just vicious cycle downward. But when you express your gratitude and when you start paying attention to what you're grateful for, it really makes a big difference.
Yeah, and thank you cards can have that professional benefit, also that personal benefit as well. So it
no doubt it tremendously helps your business, but even you got the ROI aspect, but I would absolutely recommend trying it in your personal life as well, especially with somebody that maybe you haven't heard from in a while, or talked to in a while, or even told them like what it meant, what they've meant to you. Like, I remember I tracked down my 4th grade teacher who just really believed in me, and I got in contact with her via Facebook, and like I sent her a note, like, I don't know when it was, a couple of years back, but it was just really cool to be able to make that note and bring that kind of full circle back, because most people don't know the ripple effect that you might have had on their lives. Like you mentioning, the Evolved Enterprise book and what's that meant. Like, that's, that people love to know what's happened.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anytime somebody emails me and tells me the effect I had on their life, I mean, it just makes your day, right? It makes you want to continue on.
Yeah, it's cool. And it's a lot of times it's like you had zero idea.
Yeah. Yanik, let's wrap up. What are you up to currently, and where can we find out more about you?
So I blog occasionally at my own domain, yaniksilver.com, and so you can check out some of my kind of drawings and illustrated journals and things like that there. And probably the best thing to check out would be the Evolved Enterprise book. So go to either evolvedenterprise.com or get it on Amazon. Would love to hear more success stories about people taking that and applying it to their business, and really, provides more meaning. It's just a really exciting way of doing business, and it actually increases business as well. That's what makes it even better.
I love this discussion. It was a thrill and an honor to be able to connect with you over this video and chat a little bit more. And again, thank you for writing the book. It just has made a profound impact on my life. And thank you for agreeing to do this interview.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, Scott.
Everybody watching, thanks for joining us on the Grateful Entrepreneurs Summit. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.